It looked like the WNBA saga, the little run that they had, is now over. As major networks could be pulling segments from the broadcast and this current CBA agreement is heating up, this is all what the owner...
Did ESPN and Fox just prove the WNBA was never ready for prime time? Think about it. For months, the league rode on the back of one player, Caitlin Clark. Every broadcast revolved around her. Every headline used her name. Every highlight package opened with her logo on the screen. And then, in a split second, she was gone. An awkward fall, a painful moment, and suddenly the most valuable athlete in women's basketball was sidelined. But here's the catch. What happened next said more about the WNBA than the injury itself. Because this wasn't just about one player missing a few games. It wasn't even just about a superstar being injured. This was the moment the entire league got exposed. Overnight, the hype collapsed. National coverage evaporated. ESPN, the network that once couldn't go 24 hours without running a Clark highlight, stopped mentioning her name. Fox, which used her face in every promo, pulled back its coverage like it had been waiting for this opportunity. Even sports radio hosts, who just weeks earlier were calling her a generational talent, moved on like nothing ever happened. And the silence was deafening. The same people who built their brand on Clark's back suddenly acted like she never even existed. This wasn't a simple case of next woman up. No, this wasn't the NBA where stars go down and the story continues. This was a brutal reminder that the WNBA has been walking a tightrope, and the rope was tied to one player's ankles. When she fell, the league fell with her. But here's where it gets darker. Because this collapse wasn't just natural. It wasn't just bad luck. To some fans, to some insiders, this looked deliberate, like a coordinated retreat, a way of letting the league's dirty little secret slip into the open. And the secret was simple. Without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA is nothing.
WNBA game since Caitlin Clark got hurt. Now think about this. It led our show last summer.
A bunch.
Oh, I think I led with it 6 times. I led with the WNBA. And either way, I talk about what I think is interesting. You notice I didn't talk about it this year?
Yeah.
It's not because I suddenly disliked the league. I thought it was growing. Anybody that wants to argue this, you're off your rocker.
When Clark hit the floor and the injury news spread, fans expected wall-to-wall coverage. They expected ESPN's talking heads to dedicate entire shows to her recovery. They expected Fox to keep her name in every debate. They expected daily injury updates, medical breakdowns, and endless "what does this mean for the league?" segments. But what did they get? Silence. Instead, ESPN pulled back. Those daily debate topics about Clark vanished from First Take and Get Up. Fox stopped running highlight reels of her games. Even the radio voices who once couldn't stop praising her started moving on almost instantly to NFL preseason chatter or LeBron James gossip. It was like the entire sports media world had been waiting for the excuse to drop the WNBA storyline. And the excuse arrived the second Clark went down. And the contrast couldn't have been sharper. Think about when Zion Williamson got injured at Duke. ESPN practically set up a camera outside his hospital room. When Tom Brady had an ankle scare, the NFL Network built 48 straight hours of programming around it. But Caitlin Clark, the supposed face of the WNBA, networks turned the page in less than a week. Why? Because the numbers tanked immediately. Games that drew record-breaking ratings with Clark in uniform now struggled to keep casual fans watching past halftime. The same broadcasts that doubled viewership in May were suddenly cut in half, then in half again. Sponsors weren't getting the exposure they paid for. Broadcasters saw the momentum disappear in real time. And in sports media, loyalty doesn't exist. Only numbers do. Without Clark, the numbers told a brutal truth. Women's basketball doesn't sell. At least not yet. But here's where the story takes a darker twist. Because this didn't just look like a normal business decision. To some fans, this looked like a warning shot. A deliberate pullback. A reminder to the players that the spotlight doesn't belong to them. That the hype wasn't theirs to keep. That one fall, one injury, one bad break could make everything disappear. And once you start looking at it that way, the entire collapse feels less like an accident and more like a message.
I don't know what the ratings are. I haven't read them, but I know last year with Caitlin Clark, I would, if the game was on, I would drive home making a point. And when's that game on?
I would watch it on my phone.
Let's be real. Caitlin Clark wasn't just another rookie. She was the lifeline of an entire league. Her arrival doubled viewership. Merchandise sales exploded. Road games sold out in minutes. But the moment she was sidelined, all of that vanished. Empty seats, silent arenas, sponsors quietly pulling back. And the scary part? The WNBA wasn't ready to replace her. No other star could hold the stage. That's when people started whispering. Maybe this wasn't just bad luck. Maybe this was the league being exposed for what it really is, a one-star show. And that's where the conspiracy theories began. Here's what some insiders believe. Owners didn't mind Clark carrying the entire league, but they also knew her hype came at a dangerous time. The collective bargaining agreement is coming up. Players want more money, bigger shares of revenue, charter flights, better protection. But when Clark went down, boom, negotiating power gone. Owners could point to empty arenas, declining ratings, and collapsing ad deals. They could say, see, this league isn't profitable. You don't deserve more money. Some even believe Clark's absence was convenient. Almost too convenient. Because with her sidelined, the leverage swings back to ownership, and the timing lines up a little too perfectly. But the conspiracy doesn't stop there. Clark's own team, the Indiana Fever, has been under fire. Fans claim they failed to protect her, that they let her get targeted by veterans who saw her as a threat to their status, that she was overworked, underprotected, and thrown into the fire too soon. And the harshest critics? They don't see it as negligence. They see it as sabotage. The idea that the Fever, whether by design or by incompetence, allowed their star to take the hits until she couldn't take any more. And once Clark went down, the dominoes started falling fast.
To get these set paydays that they garner and they want, bro. In order to do that, you have to have a consistent track record of good ratings, consistent track records of merchandise sales, ticket sales, and all of these things. And I'm telling you right now, next year is going to be a tough year.
With Clark gone, the sports media smelled blood. Jason Whitlock tore into WNBA players, calling them entitled and ungrateful, accusing them of wasting the gift Clark had given them. Colin Cowherd compared Clark to Tiger Woods, flat out saying the league didn't matter without her. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't polite. It was a direct message. The WNBA had been given a once-in-a-generation superstar, and they blew it. And the numbers proved those takes weren't exaggerations. At first, the WNBA tried to spin it. This is bigger than one player. The league will be fine. But the truth was brutal. Ratings dropped by more than 80%. Games that used to draw millions were suddenly struggling to hit six figures. Merchandise sales slowed to a crawl. Sponsorship money started disappearing. It wasn't just a decline. It was a collapse. The hype that carried the league into mainstream conversation had evaporated, almost overnight. And that's when the owners made their move. Behind the scenes, league executives were already positioning themselves. With the players' bargaining power gone, ownership could push back hard in the next negotiations. The message was clear. You need us more than we need you. Talks of a possible lockout in 2026 started circling. A lockout that could bury the league at the very moment it's trying to prove it belongs. But even beyond money, there was something more dangerous happening. Something you can't fix with contracts or sponsors.
Y'all ain't finna get no $1 million contracts. Guess what's gonna happen to that CBA agreement? It's gonna stay the same. You're not getting no extra money. The ratings has dropped 80%. That's what they're gonna say. You know, they're gonna be looking through this. Hey, you know what? The ratings are just, I'm sorry. So all of that momentum that you guys had about a year and a half ago, it's over. It's over.
The WNBA isn't just losing games. It's losing its identity. Fans are starting to see it as a one-star league, and that star is gone. Instead of rallying around Clark, many veterans openly resented her. Instead of protecting her, they targeted her. That resentment has spilled into the public eye. Social media debates, clips of dirty fouls, fans questioning whether the league actually wanted Clark to succeed. And when a sport loses trust, it loses everything. So here's the crossroads. If Clark comes back and picks up where she left off, the WNBA gets a second chance. The hype machine can restart. The arenas can fill again. But if the same patterns repeat, if she's targeted, if she's overworked, if she's sidelined again, then this bubble bursts for good. And once fans realize the league can't survive without one player, they won't come back. The question now isn't whether Caitlin Clark is a star. Everyone knows she is. The question is whether the WNBA has the backbone to protect her, to build around her, and to prove it can survive when she's not on the floor. Because right now, it looks less like a professional league and more like a fragile experiment being held together by one player's shoulders. Shoulders that might not be able to carry it forever. And that's the brutal truth.